Now that I'm in my 40s, I've had to change my makeup techniques to work for my skin. And this is my go-to look that I wear all the time. It's very glamorous, it's put together, but it's still neutral. So if you want to do this tutorial with me, pull out your makeup goodies and let's have fun doing some makeup together. Let's start with our base makeup. Let me get my hair out of the face. Okay, what I like to do before I apply anything is examine my face and kind of feel, is it hydrated? Do I need any moisture anywhere? I feel like it's pretty good today, so I'm ready to prime. The primer I really love right now is the Lancome La Base one. I actually got turned on to this from someone at Ulta. She was saying, you gotta try this. It's really good. It's amazing primer. And I've started using this and she's right. It's really good. It gives me a flawless base to the face. And this is really important if you're over 40 because as we get older, our pores get larger, we have our fine lines, and this kind of helps fill it all in and create just a flawless smooth base for your foundation. Okay, face is primed. So now I switched to an Anisa foundation brush. I really like this one because it's a triangle shape so it can get under the eyes. You guys know I love my NARS Sheer Glow. Someone said that they're discontinuing that, which NARS, anyone from NARS listening right now, why? Why would you discontinue such a classic? Why? Don't do it. It's amazing. So I'm just buffing this in. This is a little dark for me right now, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. Just going to buff it down here. I know this is a little dark for me right now, but I'm going to highlight in a second with a lighter concealer. I have a couple shades of this to switch out for on days when I'm a little bit darker, a little bit lighter. Just buff this in. Make sure anytime you guys apply foundation, you're coming down the neck a little bit too. I know a lot of people just stop here and that's what gives you that line. Doesn't matter how well your foundation blends into your face, you always want to come down a little bit so it's not so obvious that you have anything on your skin. And then if you want, you can really start blending in down here a little bit because I'm wearing kind of a deep V-neck thing here. So I apply a little bit of foundation here because I have a lot of sun damage here that I was stupid when I was younger, you guys. I went out in the sun. This is my lesson to anyone younger than me. Don't go out in the sun. You'll regret it when you're in your 40s. We're going to put some on the titties down here, you guys. Don't judge me, but we're going to set it here with some setting spray. So what I'm going to do, I've got my One Size Beauty setting spray. I'm not going to spray the face yet. I'm just going to spray the chest just so my top doesn't get into that. Just let it kind of fan. So that way it doesn't get makeup on my clothes, but look, it all matches. Face and chest, one color. Now we're gonna conceal, and I like to use something that's a little bit lighter than me. I'm not gonna use a concealer because I want something really pigmented, so I'm using the Dermablend Flawless Creator. I talk about this all the time, everyone knows. I use this as a concealer though, not a foundation, because it is pigmented. So I take a concealer brush like this, pick up a little bit on the brush, that way there's not a ton, and I use this to kind of brighten under the eyes, and this really works great for more mature skin because it's not too thick or cakey. It gives me the coverage I need, but the formula is really thin and it's really hydrating. I'll come on top of the cheekbones to kind of highlight that, under the eyes, put a little bit on the center of the forehead. Any place that I want to be a little bit lighter, this is where I apply this. Touch on the chin. Now for under the chin, I actually do like to draw this on because I like to chisel this. So this is where I go in and I start to chisel like that because do you see how it's giving me that jawline back? This saves me as I get older, you guys. It starts getting loose down there. I'm like, oh no, we're gonna carve this bad boy out. So take that brush and we're just gonna buff it because we don't want to see any harsh lines down here. I put a little extra here on my chin fluff, kind of blend that out too. And look, jawline. And then the last bit is just to tap a bit around the crown of your forehead. This is gonna add dimension because we want the center of your face to be kind of light and bright, but around the edges a little bit darker, so it adds dimension and it's not just all one color. And again, I applied a little bit too much right there, so just go on with that foundation brush, kind of tap over it to blend it out. Do you see how this is adding more dimension to my face? I'm getting a little bit of a halo of dark and light around my skin. Okay, now before we set with powder, I'm going to add some bronzer. You guys can apply it straight out of the stick, but I like a more natural finish, so I always pick some up on the brush, and then I put it here under the cheekbones. You follow where your finger, feel where that cheekbone's at. I know most bronzers are meant to go on top of the cheekbones. I like applying it under, almost to like contour and bronze at the same time. We're bronze touring, okay? And the key is to blend it upwards like this, not down, because you don't want a beard. I mean, maybe you do, I don't. And then I take what's left on the brush and I kind of tap it up here. Now see right here, it's looking a little bit dark, so you can fix that really easily by going in with your foundation brush and just kind of tapping on top of it just dry, just to kind of blend that out. And do you see how that smoothed out that harsh line right there? Now let's start with a little bit of powder. I'm using the One Size Beauty powder and a sponge. You guys can just get these from Amazon, cheap sponges. I've been using this technique for years with a sponge. Put some in the cap and just pick a little bit up. I scrape off the excess. Do you see all that powder out there? That's excess powder we do not want on our face because we want it to look natural. The less powder you use, the better. So we're just going to add it to places that get shiny. So right here next to the nose, a little bit under the eyes to set that concealer, down the nose, a little bit on the forehead, chin. And this is important, you all. You want to set the eyes because this was going to help your eyeshadow blend better later on if you set a little bit of powder down first. So get those eyes. I forgot to tell you all too, while you're doing your base makeup, put a little bit of oil on your lips. This is going to hydrate them because as we get older, our lips tend to get more dry. And I let this sit while I do my base makeup. So when I go to do my lips, they're nice and hydrated and filled in. Now blush. As we get older, we lose color in our face too. So I like using a brighter color like this. I know you guys are going to be scared to wear something this bright. I'm going to show you how to pull this off. This is the Patrick Ta one. The top is cream, the bottom's powder. Use which formula you like. I'm gonna use the powder. I take a brush like this, a fluffy, just a really soft, fluffy brush that's a dome shape like this. You can tap it on. If you're afraid this is gonna be too much color, pat it on the back of your hand first, and then you can start to build the color. And don't worry if it gets too bright, because again, we can go over it with that foundation. It actually looks really nice when you do that because it looks more natural. Do you see how I'm just tapping it? And another trick too, as we get older, is you want to come up a bit high. Don't come too far down the face. I hate when people are like, oh, after 40, you need to put it on the apples of your cheeks right here. I used to teach that years ago. I was wrong because as we age, our face sinks down. So you want to keep it higher. If you focus in here, it's going to make your face look low. We want to lift it. So bring it up high like this. You see I'm doing a tapping motion to build that color. You can always add more. So start with a light layer. I bring it up here along the temple too, because again, that's going to lift the face up. Do you see how it's bringing my cheekbones up here? And then again, if you feel like it's too bright, keep that brush handy. I didn't add any more foundation to it. It's still just left over what's on there. You can always tap on top if you feel like that blush is too bright. Now for the highlighter, I like to use a cream or liquid because it looks a little bit more natural. It's not so shimmery, which can be harsh on mature skin. I'm using the Hollywood Flawless Filter by Charlotte Tilbury, and I put some on the back of my hand like this. And I like to take kind of a concealer dome brush like this and pick up some product, and I really smear it in the brush, and I just kind of tap it on like this. You can use your fingers too if you prefer, but do a patting motion because you don't want to swipe that foundation off and make it look streaky. If you want to use your fingers, just pick it up like this, really kind of blend it in and just tap it. Do you see how that gives like a glow, but it's not glittery, it's not over the top, just adds back in that luminosity that we need that as we lose as we get older. Can you hear that tapping sound? I'm tapping it, don't swipe it. Okay, brows, I've already had them done just because I filmed something earlier, but I used two things. I used the NYX Brow Ink if you really need some hair strokes, and then I really like the Senna Brow Pencil. So what I do is I brush out my brows like this, and then I just do streaks, like lines to mimic hairs like that. You want something that's just going to look more natural. And then as I get out here to the edge of my brow, I can fill it in a little bit more, but I try to keep it not too dense in the inner corner because I don't want it to get too dark or heavy and make my eyes look tired. If you want, you can get two brow color pencils and get a darker one for the outer half of the brow and then a lighter color for in here, and that will give you that effect too. And then if you're using the brow ink, literally all I do is little tiny strokes, any spot where I'm missing hairs, fill it in just like that. For the eyes, I don't like using a liquid eyeliner on more mature skin because it can come across really harsh, but I still want to darken the lash line. So you need a black eyeliner pencil and then a really small dome brush like this that we're going to smudge it. So take your black eyeliner, and I like to start on the outer half of the lash line. And you can always darken this with liquid liner later if you want, if you feel like you can pull it off, but I like to start with pencil because it's a little bit less harsh. And I'm using this as a base to really just darken that lash line. I'm doing a baby wing. I'm coming up a little bit. Anytime you do a little baby wing on any eye shape, it tends to lift those eyes a little bit. So again, everything we're doing is lifting. We're bringing that youth back by lifting out the eyes. So make it a little bit thicker out here. See how that's just a really soft base for the lash? Now I'm going to define the crease a little bit and go in with a shade that's just a couple shades lighter than my skin tone. So I'm going in here. This is the Lunar Beauty Nude Prism palette. If you have darker skin, you're going to go in with more this shade, or really deep skin, you're going to go somewhere in in here, but it needs to be a little bit darker than your skin tone so that it creates depth and dimension and allows your lid to pop. So let me show you. Putting this in the crease, and I'm going to blend it up towards the brow. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. It's just giving a light shading. So let me go a little bit darker. I was here. Now let's go a few shades darker than that just to really build up that color. There we go. You see how I'm just enhancing that crease. I'm going back and forth like this. I'm starting to blend it up towards the brow with whatever's left on the brush. Take a smaller dome brush like this and go in with this color right here. It's a little bit darker. We're going to smudge this under the lower lash line. I think a lot of people think as we get older that we can't wear color under here because it'll make us look older. It actually doesn't. What it does is it creates a natural shadow for your eyes to pop, and it makes your eyes look a little bit bigger. If it's too much, you can take that concealer brush and kind of dust under here to blend it out a little bit. But look at the difference between this eye and this eye. Do you see how this one looks kind of small and undefined, and this one's starting to look a little bit bigger? It's up to you if you like how simple and clean this is. If you want to add some shimmer to the lid, you can. I love shimmers as I get older because I feel it like it almost hides the loose texture. I think a lot of people are afraid to wear shimmers like, oh, it'll make me look old. No, no, no. Like even my mom is 68 and she looks gorgeous with shimmers across the lid. So I'm going to go in with this shimmery color here. You can apply it with your fingers or a brush and just dust this on the lid. It just brightens your eyes. It hides the texture. It adds luminosity to your face. It's just absolutely beautiful. Let me show you the difference between one eye and the next. I'm literally just dusting it all over the lid. But look how the difference between this eye and this eye. Do you see how it's brighter? It's more awake and fresh. And it does not make me look older, okay? Now, do you guys want to know my trick for getting that defined lash line without it being too harsh? You're going to take a brow pen. That same one I used for my brows earlier in a dark brown. This is Espresso from NYX. I'm going to come all the way in here to really define that lash line. Let me show you what it does. So I'm not going to use black and I'm not going to use a liquid liner because that comes across really harsh, and we just want to define the lash line without looking heavy or tired. Do you see the difference in this eye and this eye? It just kind of darkened that lash line a little bit and it kind of gave more definition to my eyes. And then to open your eyes a little bit more, take a nude eyeliner and run this on the waterline, but just in the center of the eye, just right there. Do you see how it adds just that little bit more brightness to really open the eyes? Then apply your mascara, but I really like depositing most of the product at the base of the lash right here at the very bottom. So I swiggle it down here and sweep it up. That way your lashes don't look too heavy, but they're still dark with it being mostly at that base. So swiggle it down here, sweep, swiggle. Now we have to line the lips. As we get older, we lose that lip definition. So lining the lips is really important. So I'm just gonna line them with like a brownie pink color. Then we're gonna apply a hydrating lipstick. I like one that has a bit of a sheen to it, so it really adds fullness to the lips. As I've gotten older, I don't like the liquid lips as much. I mean, you can wear them, but for me, they draw out my lips too much. And then I like dabbing just a little bit of gloss on top, mainly in the center of the lip. And see how that adds so much fullness to the lips? And then the last thing you're gonna do is lock it down with the setting spray. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury one. Just kind of mist this all over the face, and that helps it just last all day. It gets rid of the powderiness on your skin, kind of adds a glowiness and a dewiness to the skin. So let me take out this hair clip so you guys can see. And there you go. That's the final look. Do you see how it's glowy, it's fresh, it's neutral, but it's still glamorous, but it still feels like me. It's just like, this is what I wear anytime I go out on a date night or I have meetings for the day and I just want to feel really beautiful and put together. This is my look. So hopefully that helps you all with your makeup. Have fun. Come back for the next video, you all, if you like makeup, beauty, and fragrance. I will see you here. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.